on the Olympic fallout. This is from Walker Zimmerman, who had the comments after the team was eliminated in the quarterfinals. Quote, I think to some degree we've gotten away from that and feel just because we're whoever you are that you just can get called in. That stuff pisses me off. I think guys need to, every time they put on the jersey, I don't care how talented you are, you want to play with pride, and I think we have the characters to do it because we don't always do it. You need to know what it means to represent the United States, and that's where I think we can improve. Herc, there are lots of ways to interpret this. What do you think Walker Zimmerman is getting at here on Shots Fired?
Well, he's not talking about the Olympic team, I'll tell you that much. I do think there's a growing sense for Major League Soccer players that if you're playing in Europe, it's a given you get called in. And that once you're there, you have a leg up over the domestic players. Regardless of what your thoughts are on the talent level of both, we can all agree that once you put that jersey on, you hold the same responsibility as the guy sitting next to you, no matter where you're from. I think this stems from that. From the World Cup, from Copa America, there are certain things, certain ways of handling yourself regardless of where you come from. And maybe certain players, to Walker's point, have taken that for granted. And we can go back to World Cup qualifying, whether it was players talking about a 9-point window, whether it was players who are breaking protocol, whether it's indisciplinary actions in the Nations League qualifying against Trinidad or the Copa America game against Panama. There are certain actions that aren't beholden to members of the U.S. men's national team. I think Walker's getting to that. Are they shots fired? Absolutely. Is he wrong? No, he's not. I would ask Walker, who are we talking about? Because it's very easy to generalize. It's very easy to throw the rock or throw a little grenade and run away. Who are we talking about here?
So the first thing I thought was, all right, this is some MLS envy, right? This is a guy from Major League Soccer who feels like MLS guys either don't get the shine or maybe get a little bit more of the hate than they're due compared to the European guys. And then I started thinking, well, who could he possibly be talking about? And Herc, as soon as you see the word talent, it immediately to me just screams Gio Reyna.
Oh, come
now,
on,
I don't know
Sab.
that. Wait a sec. Let me tell you why I say that. Because he's a player who we've seen before get called in just off of talent, right? Not off what he was doing at club, nowhere else. And I'm not making the argument that you shouldn't call Gio Reyna in, but if I'm trying to understand who Walker Zimmerman is talking about, a talented player that's not doing it at club level and is getting called in based on talent, I mean, Gio Reyna's the name. What other name would it be, Herc?
Well, that was Serginho Dest right before PSV. So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's very easy to generalize, and it leads us down a slippery slope, and I don't want to do that. But that's why I'm asking, who are we talking about? Because it leads people to speculate, because it's very easy to think of the World Cup and the stories you heard out of the World Cup that Gio Reyna wasn't trying at training sessions, whatever the case may be. But there are clear moments in games that have affected the U.S. men's national team. And I just mentioned with the U.S. men's national team, like, 4 examples? None of those were Gio Reyna. None of those were Gio Reyna. So this is why I say, who are we talking about here? Because I think it's very unfair to label one person. I'm not saying you're being unfair. I'm just saying that's what the general public is going to say. Oh, it's this person. Oh, it's that player. Who are we talking about here, Walker?
Can I give you an alternate interpretation? Because there's another quote that stood out to me.
Okay.
To know what it means to represent the United States, Herc. When I saw that, know what it means to represent the United States, do you know what I thought?
No.
Is he talking about the dual nationals? Because if that comment had come from a Mexican player or a member of the Mexican media, you would know exactly what it was about. And there was a team full of dual nationals. They'd be saying, hey, now that we got all these dual nationals on the team, do they know what it means to represent the United States? And you know this, Herc, if you talk to some of the old school guys in this U.S. pool and you get them off camera and you start asking them, hey, what's the difference between then and now? Some of them will bring up the dual nats. It's not a conversation that's comfortable in this country, but any other country, when you start having dual nats in the pool and a player comes out and says, you need to know what it means to represent the U.S., that's where my antennas go to. That's what I'm thinking.
Can I tell you where my antennas go to? And maybe it's old man who played for the U.S. and kind of feels this way. But there seems to be a bit of arrogance with this new era U.S. men's national team. And they've never been in a fight. They've never been punched in the mouth. They've never been misrepresented or not understood. They've never had the benefit of the doubt. They've had to fight and claw for every single ounce of respect, whether it's domestically or abroad. And this genre doesn't have that. They're reaping a lot of what the previous generations have sown. I think he's talking about that.
Okay. All right. So Walker Zimmerman and the U.S. men then out of the Olympics. The U.S. women's national team, very, very different story. They are into the semifinals Tuesday against Germany, who, of course, they beat 4-1 in group play. And we'll be reacting live to that game on the next edition of Football W tomorrow night with Ali Krieger, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on ESPN+.